A very warm welcome to all the listeners who are joining us today for a very, very exciting session with Tony Abrahams. He's co-founder and CEO of AI Media. And Tony, thanks so much for being here today. Where are you joining in from?
I'm joining in from Dumbo in Brooklyn.
Fantastic. And do you guys have an office there?
We do. We have our engineering offices here in Dumbo, and then we have our major office is in Farmingdale, Long Island, which is where we produce all of our boards.
Fabulous, fabulous. So, thanks so much for being here. As you know, Vitrina is a community of experts from the entertainment supply chain. We love everything relating to how the cookie is made, and we try and analyze, the entire process, and then within the process of creating the best entertainment and delivering it to audiences, our key focus is on the top innovators, the top solutions, the best products, right, that create the magic of that content, right? And that brings us to you today. One of the key aspects that we would love to get started with is how would you introduce the company as an elevator pitch? What's your elevator pitch for AI Media?
So I co-founded AI Media 22 years ago, and the elevator pitch has only just become the real one, which is we created AI Media in 2003, waiting for this moment, which we're seeing now in 2025. We are not just a captioning company, although that's certainly where we started. We are embedding all forms of artificial intelligence within all of the systems of our corporate customers. Now, we do that with language services. So we do it with captioning live and recorded. We also do it with our Lexi Voice product, which is a live translation product that we launched after 6 years of development in 2 weeks ago at the NAB show in Las Vegas. And then the final piece, which we're building out, is our Lexi AI product. The first one of which is Lexi Brew, which looks at combining private large language models, public large language models, and live data coming from the Lexi service to give the next level of clarity and organizational focus for our customers.
Oh wow, that's incredible, and congratulations on the Lexi launch. How was the NAB for you, and how did the launch go?
Oh, it was the best NAB ever. I've been going to NAB since 2006. And the best NAB before this year was 2 years ago for us, where we launched our Lexi 3.0 service. And our Lexi 3.0 service was the Lexi text service, live text transcription. And the thing that made that so great 2 years ago was when the automated service got better than the human for the very first time. And so instead of it being something where you had to have some kind of trade-off in order to get the cost efficiency that AI is going to deliver over humans, 2 years ago, it actually became a no-brainer in the same way that digital cameras have now surpassed film cameras. But for a very long time, there was a trade-off if you went to a digital camera, whereas now it's better in all respects. And that was the same with Lexi Text 2 years ago. This year, we actually launched a brand new family of products, which is Lexi Voice, using exactly the same architecture.
Understood. And just wanted to also understand from a supply chain perspective, what are the various aspects that where you play, where AI Media plays, and where are the areas that you're extending the company's solutions into?
Yeah, great. So we are a company that effectively is a workflow orchestration company to deliver AI tools in our customers' workflows.
and
and that and that
everything
and that
relating
that is
to
so
uh,
sorry.
everything relating to language and everything relating to uh, sort of voice. Is that the zone that you sort of super specialize in?
We specialize in all forms of AI,
Okay.
live and recorded. The first place that we started was captioning, which is translating the speech into text live and then inserting it back onto the TV broadcast. The application that we launched on April the 7th in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago was a brand new application. This is Lexi Voice, and what this delivers is real time, i.e., live translation without a human of TV content live. And this
Wow.
is a product we've been working on for 6 years. And excitingly, it reached the status of what we call, some people have this term minimum viable product,
Yep,
MVP.
that's right.
So we have instead we use minimum lovable product. What is a product? What is the minimum product that people would actually love? And we set out to deliver that on April the 7th, and we did it very, very successfully. I saw people put the headphones on, listening in Korean or Japanese or Tagalog, and they just went, "That's
Ah,
amazing."
God,
So they would listen to themselves speaking English and hear the translation coming back
whoa, that is insane. Wow, that's incredible actually, and that's live. You said?
live. It's amazing. Less than 10 seconds. Less
Oh
than
wow.
10 seconds. A year ago, it was still taking us 30 seconds. And so we've chopped that latency down to, I think it's actually 8.5 seconds at the moment,
Wow.
because of a number of things. Like, again, it's all about workflow. So we look to make sure that we are taking only the information that we need, the minimum amount of information from a stream, sending it across to the engine, getting that information back as quickly as possible, and ensuring, a bit like a fly screen, that we're only passing through the limited information from a big fire hose that we actually need for the AI engines to process the information. That's what it means to be a workflow orchestration company.
Fascinating. This is such an exciting breakthrough actually. And then how long has this product been the voice product? How long has that been in sort of development?
Well, the first time we actually developed it was before we even acquired EEG. This is in AI Media's days when we first looked at this product in January of 2018 at Davos. So we were captioning, the World Economic Forum, the big Davos meeting, and we used a form of human in the loop, which is what AI Media did with our AI from 2003 till 2021. We had a human in the loop who would effectively, who had trained an AI engine to their unique voice print, and then they would listen to everything that everyone would say, and then they would repeat it into this speech recognition engine that they'd trained for hundreds of hours to recognize the unique way that they said every word. Now, this voice, what we did in 2018 was we used this technique,
Uh-huh.
and we had the re-speakers only do very short, sharp sentences. So if
Okay.
someone would say something very long and complicated, they would proceed into sentences of 5 words or less.
Okay.
And then we would send that up to an automated transcription engine. And then we would an automatic translation engine. We did the transcription. We then sent it to the translation engine. And then the output from the translation engine, we fed into a text into speech engine, which back in 2018 still sounded very robotic. And so it was good enough. Like, it was better than not having an interpreter in the room, but it certainly wasn't in 2018 anything like we were able to demonstrate on April the 7th, 2025, which was you put the headphones on and in real time, you heard something that sounded as natural and as real as the original content in over 100 different languages.
Shucks, that is insane. That is insane.
It's
So,
absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. And look, we're benefiting enormously from the fact that there is the rising tide that's really lifting all boats, in the sense of the tens of billions of dollars each year that are being invested into AI tools.
right.
And because we're a workflow orchestration company,
Hmm.
the better those tools become, the better our service becomes, because we place those tools in the workflow of our customers by virtue of the ICAP and Lexi infrastructure that we've got.
Understood.
So someone comes up with a better translation API. What we do is we put it on our Lexi cloud service. And then effectively what we do is we orchestrate the delivery of inputs into that cloud engine. And then we take the output from that cloud engine and we deliver it back. If that is Lexi text, then the delivery back is we're putting captions on the screen.
Right.
If we're talking Lexi Voice, then the output is a different audio track and I'm listening to it in a different language. So we
Understood.
can take one audio track in and we can deliver hundreds of simultaneous translations, all from the one feed.
Wow. I've got so many questions right now that,
Surely
to
the
make
first is, how much does this cost? And the answer is only $30 an hour.
that is insane again. Seriously. Wow.
Seriously, $30 an hour per language pair. It is, we were speaking to a couple of broadcasters who have actually had separate Hindi commentary teams to actually deliver, say, cricket commentary in Hindi. And they're
That's right.
spending $4,000 an hour, not 30, 4,000.
Incredible. Incredible. Oh wow. Okay. So one technical question is this happening? Where is this happening? Is it happening on the device? Is it happening at the server level, at the playout center? Where in the case of broadcast, I'm imagining this very differently from streaming apps.
Correct. Everything starts with the encoder. So the very first product that anyone needs to purchase from AI Media is an encoder. Now that encoder takes the raw input stream from either the broadcaster or from an AV stream.
Okay.
And then what that does is think of the encoder as the brain, right? It then splits out all of the different elements. Do I need this voice track? Do I need, this audio track, this metadata, this timing information? It does all that by synchronizing with the customer's media asset management system.
Okay.
So the customer's media asset management system already has an automation stack that says, we're going to play this from, 2:30 and 30 seconds to 2:31 and 0
Right.
seconds. That's a 30-second commercial. We then know that. We know what the commercial is. We know what the content is. Therefore, it delivers a better AI service. So what's important first is that there's a physical piece of infrastructure that is plugged in
Hmm.
to the fire hose of data that comes from the customer.
Okay.
We have 6,000 of those in the field in US broadcast, and they have been used through the EEG subsidiary that we acquired in 2021. These have been the dominant US broadcast captioning encoder since 1980.
Wow. Okay.
And everywhere else in the world use something different, because
Right.
right up until very recently, every single country had completely different broadcasting standards. In
That's
fact,
right.
they
That's
still
right.
do. They still do, as you know.
Yes.
But that's what's made our first target market being US broadcast,
Okay.
because we acquired a company that already had 80% market share in the encoder market. And the encoder market you can really think of almost like a Trojan horse, if you like, for
Okay.
the service that we're delivering.
Right. Right. Right.
Because unless we've got the encoder, we can't get access to the customer's data.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And so we get the customer's data. Now the trick then, and the overall genius of the architecture, which was built by Bill McLaughlin, our chief product officer, and who was at EEG for 20 years before the acquisition. What he built was a network that effectively allowed you to get the best out of cloud and the best out of on-prem.
Okay.
And that architecture has proven remarkably resilient,
Huh.
and also really modular,
Right.
really modular. Right, so we're able to use the same piece of equipment, that same
Right.
encoder, and it can deliver live voice translation, or it can deliver live captions on TV.
And I'm guessing that the use case in the US is overwhelmingly captioning. Is that right?
Well, no, we think, look, absolutely the first use case was captioning, right?
Right.
And right up until 2 weeks ago, the only thing we ever sold was captions, right?
Right.
But we're
Right.
thinking that the live voice translation product will overtake captioning
Huh.
because it will be a magnet for audiences.
Right. Right.
And given that it's only going to cost the broadcasters $30 an hour to transmit this content into different languages, you go, well, what's the monetization opportunity for them? Well, you don't have to get many extra viewers to click on extra ads to pay for that $30.
Right. Right.
And even if it's local news in Chicago,
Right.
you know, how many Hindi speakers are there sitting there in Chicago?
Right.
You know, and if you were to offer this service just regularly, then people are more likely to watch it and tune in. And we don't know how this is going to play out yet.
That's right. That's right.
You know, because we only launched this product 2 weeks ago. But what I have said
Mhm.
is that we want to grow the scale of AI media by our financial year 2029 to be at $60 million of EBITDA by then. Last year, we did 4 million in EBITDA. So the path to get there is not just to sell more captions, it's actually to sell captions and voice and our other product family, which is our Lexi AI product, that pulls together the best of private chat GPT data, public LLM data, and live information coming through the Lexi feed. So think of it as a sort of souped up Bloomberg service that
Wow.
is tailored to your unique organization. So for example, let's say you interviewed someone last week. Uh, we would know about that. And if something newsworthy happened to that person or that person's company, you would automatically be made aware of it, plus given the context, plus a prompt of, would you like to contact them? And here's the draft LinkedIn update.
Whoa. Oh boy. This is fascinating, and I'm guessing that that is sector agnostic. The
Completely
Lexi AI.
sector agnostic, completely sector agnostic. And so what we've said is our expansion plans for
Right.
the period between now to FY29 are in two dimensions. So keep in mind, we're almost all only US broadcast at the moment. So if we think about it as a 3 by 3 matrix, right? So if you've got Americas, you've got broadcast, we're in that top square. Then there's Europe broadcast. Well, we only managed to get this system working in Europe this year
Okay.
after 4 years of, you know, making the required changes to the different broadcast systems.
Right.
And in doing so, we've gone uh, uh, from selling, I think, 15 encoders last year to 150 encoders this year into Europe.
Wow.
And so continuing to build out that European broadcast market so it begins to look like the North American broadcast market is key. And then we've got the Asia Pacific market as well. And we think all three of those can be equal in size. And
Right.
then what we can do is we can sell in Lexi Voice on top of the Lexi captions for that market. And then vertically, you've got government as its own sector,
Category.
and
Right.
then enterprise. So if you think about it, we're talking broadcast, government, and enterprise. In Americas, EMEA, and APAC.
APAC.
And there are 9 squares. And at the moment, we're only really in one. And that's
Understood.
our expansion plan.
Understood. And
And yes,
when
the Lexi AI product is
right,
completely sector agnostic. In fact, the first trials that we've done with this have been in the financial services sector. And in particular, we've been looking at research analysts. And we've built a model that basically shares the research data from an investment bank. Let's call it JP Morgan. It isn't JP Morgan, but I'm just saying, for example,
sure,
let's say JP Morgan, and JP Morgan have a whole bunch of research on Citibank. What's the JP Morgan view on Citibank? How do
right,
you find that out? Well, that's what we've delivered our service to do. So it goes and looks at all of the research that's done inside the firewall of JP Morgan,
right,
collates it all, uses the LLM structures, and comes up with a real answer to any kind of question that you've got as to how well did Citibank perform compared to how well we thought Citibank was going to perform based on our 2023 analysis, for example.
got it.
And you can ask that question and you can share that information among the 700 bankers so that every one of those 700 bankers understands the firm view
Wow,
of Citibank.
that is that's a pretty powerful product right there.
Well, it's intellectual property, right? It's
That's right.
bringing to life the value of
That's
the
right.
intellectual property that otherwise is sitting in shared folders,
Yes.
email archives, screenshots, whatever, and
Right.
pulling it
Right.
together and making sure that it can all be used. The other thing that was really interesting in these pilots that we did that I didn't expect to be as significant was data validation.
Hmm.
Because you're actually putting all this information into the system, you can see where it's making mistakes. And oftentimes the mistakes are due to bad data being put in.
Right. 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 Yes.
So you have the opportunity to actually clean the data. And that's probably the most important thing. The most important thing in all of this is not whether you're using OpenAI or Grok or Perplexity. It's actually, have you got the right data in the system? And are you sure you've got no wrong data in the system?
Right. Right. Right.
Honestly, that matters way more than whatever your choice in engine is.
Understood.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, all these engines are open source.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing that these engines can do without the right data. But with
Right.
the right data, with the right prompts, and with the right structuring of the information, what you can do is you can actually scale clarity in organizations.
That's right.
You can actually ensure consistency of responses for your professional services. And this is
That's
where we're seeing customers get excited.
wow. And the AI product is already out, or it comes out this year.
The Lexi AI product is not commercially available. We're at the moment doing, we're about a year behind on Lexi Voice. So we've launched
Okay.
the proof of concept effectively this year, which is what we did with Lexi Voice this time last year. So we would
Okay.
expect to be commercially ready with Lexi AI in 12 months.
Understood. Understood. No, that's super useful. And also the way you laid out the 3 by 3 grid was interesting. It kind of gives the picture of exactly how you're progressing towards filling up all of those 9 grids. One question was since you mentioned about European expansion in
Mm.
broadcast, I wanted to double click on that in terms of just when you're sort of expanding into broadcast as a category. Who's your target customer? Who are your sales folks going and speaking with? Who are you pitching to?
Great question. Great question. Great question. So we have the benefit of 40 years of brand recognition of the of our EEG subsidiary in US broadcast,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
So we don't need to do any marketing in the US for our
Right.
particular product.
Right.
What we've been and because there are a finite number of broadcasters, and that number is kind of getting smaller and smaller if you look at all of the consolidation that's going on.
Yes.
But then you look at the fact that a lot of the organizations that in the past might have been thought of as suppliers to the broadcast industry,
Yes.
right? Think of the NBA or the NBL or the PGA or something like that. They would be providing these sports. These sports would be on television. So they were a provider of the sports to television. Well, of course, now they're broadcasters themselves. Right now, they're actually broadcasting direct to consumer through their app. So they've become new customers of ours. So we've
Okay.
got customers of the broadcast industry and we've got customers of the live sports industry where we're going direct. Similarly with stadiums. So Wembley Stadium is a customer of ours so that you will be able to see the captions at Wembley Stadium. What if actually you wanted to listen in Hindi to what was going on in Wembley Stadium?
Right.
Well, we'll
Right.
be able to do that once we roll out Lexi Voice as well.
Understood. Understood.
And
And
so
then
the customers, so the customers in Europe are largely the same customers that we've got
okay.
in the US, right? Because when you think about it, Comcast own NBC Universal, and they also own Sky. Sky's the
Right.
largest broadcaster in Europe. But what was critical in our European expansion was actually partnerships. We partnered with the leading broadcasters in Europe who validated that this solution not only would work, but that it is the best solution in the world for US broadcast. And the critical point for us there was when we signed the partnership agreement last September with ITV in the UK.
Ah.
And
Okay.
ITV is a natural leader in that field in
Right.
terms of delivering access services, not just into the UK, but more broadly into Europe. And David Padmore, who runs the group there, has decades of experience in this industry. He used to run one of our competitors, Red Bee Media.
Ah. Yes. I'm familiar
So
with
getting
Red Bee. Yeah.
you're familiar with Red Bee. So
Yes.
getting ITV to say we are switching from the legacy system to Lexi
Right.
as the first European broadcaster, that gave a whole bunch of other European broadcasters off the back of the IBC conference in Amsterdam in September.
Okay.
It gave all of those broadcasters really the green light to say, we're going to go ahead and do this. Because the first thing that we need to convince people of is this is the new standard.
Right.
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 And as you know, with broadcast, everyone wants to pick what's going to be the standard. No one wants to go out and have a
That's right.
different standard, you know?
That's right.
So,
That's
so, so we worked really hard with patience for the last 3 years to get the product ready so that we would have David Padmore say, yeah, this is the one to go. It works. All systems go. The other thing that we're doing in Europe is we are replicating the model we have in the US and we are delivering technology only solutions. So
okay.
whereas in the past we've done human in the loop services, we are not doing that anymore. We will
Okay.
partner with other organizations who are local and hand them off the information so they can do the final local turn. That allows
Understood.
us to remain scalable and it also gives them a continuing business model.
Understood. So this is pretty exciting. I mean, just the whole rollout in Europe and then the ITV relationship as well. In the current scheme of things, has ITV sort of used captioning, or have they already started using voice?
Well, we only launched Voice 2 weeks ago, so
Oh,
no
okay.
one's actually used Voice yet.
Okay.
In the sense that, I mean, they've put the headphones on, they've got very excited, and we're
Okay.
looking at sort of putting it into workflows. But it
Right.
was only on April the 7th
Understood.
this year that we launched it, so
Understood.
2 weeks ago. So everything at the moment is text. Everything
Okay.
that everyone is
So
concerned. So
ITV has
ITV
put out.
is using Lexi. Yes, ITV is
Understood.
using Lexi, and
Understood.
ITV um, uh, are also providing services to other broadcasters, and they're using Lexi as part of that to other broadcasters as well.
Understood. And then I'm guessing that same feed comes into ITVX and some of the streaming outlets that are connected to that ecosystem.
That's correct, and we are completely agnostic as to where the system comes from.
Okay.
and we are completely agnostic as to where we send the signal back. So you can think of it as, I often describe our business as more like a toll road and less like a Tesla, because it's not about building the next best car. It's actually about making sure that whoever builds the next best car, we can actually get it onto the toll road and it can get where it needs to get to. And effectively, you think about the infrastructure that we've built. I said those encoders are like the brain. They're also a bit like the on ramp, right?
Right.
Until you can actually, you need the on ramp to actually get onto the freeway,
That's right.
and that's really what we've been building and developing, and we've increased the reliability. I'm very proud of this stat. We've increased the reliability of uptime on that toll road
Okay.
from 99.8 to 99.999, five
Wow.
nines
Wow.
in 3 years. In three
That is
years.
incredible. That is
And
incredible.
that's with a mix of our Lexi DR product, which has got this automatic failover between on-prem and cloud. Because on-prem can fail, cloud can fail. You need the ability to kind of switch it across. But
Right.
it's also just due to improvements in the core stability and the rewrite of the code.
Fascinating. And then, I understand what the solution is. I also understand the nine cell grid that you described, and then also the aspect of how the encoder is actually foundational to the whole broadcast expansion, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Or any
idea.
expansion. It's not just broadcast expansion,
Okay.
it's any expansion. You need an encoder.
Okay.
Right? But before you can even begin, you need an encoder. You need an on
Okay.
ramp onto the toll road. You can't get onto the toll road without having an on ramp. And the on ramp, that's the encoder. Now, it
Okay.
doesn't need to be our encoder.
Okay. Okay.
It could be someone else's encoder, but
Understood.
that encoder would need to have our software on it.
Understood.
And
Understood.
there are some third party networks that we've already got our software on. So the Grass Valley and Imagine were two networks that we're on right away. So you can just go in there and
Okay.
click a box inside it, and it works as if it's almost like an Intel inside your computer kind of thing. We're
Right.
more Intel than we are IBM, if I can put it that way. But
Got
we
it.
could
Got
be
it.
inside. We could be inside everybody's
That's right.
encoder network. Yeah,
And the software business gives you that sort of extension and expansion
correct,
possibilities.
correct. Yeah,
Um,
look, almost all of the smarts are in the software,
right.
but you need the hardware in order to access the software.
That's right. That's right.
But we've also got a software encoder, which is called Alta, that
Okay.
we get our customers to install on their hardware. We can also install it on hardware and ship it, but mostly customers just spin it up on their own hardware.
Understood. Understood. So I want to sort of get into then the language solutions themselves, right? You mentioned a little while ago, 100 languages. Is that for the captioning piece, or is that extended already to the voice piece as well?
Oh, that was voice.
Okay.
That's
Whoa.
voice. That's
Wow.
voice. And
And
and and
and
and and all we are doing is we are taking what other people have built and delivered in the last 12 months, and
wow.
we're embedding it in our customers' live workflows.
Wow. So okay, so this is fascinating. And then what languages are today, like already absolutely top of the line? I currently, are you sort of benchmarking language by language, or is
Oh
it?
yeah. Oh, you have to. You have to benchmark by language pair, and you have to have the data, right?
Yes,
So
that's right.
you have to have the data. So look, maybe if we go back to 2018 and how quickly this has come. I said we started off doing it in Davos. We had the humans. They would listen. They would re-speak. They would do short sentences.
Right,
We would
right.
we would convert it via um, uh, uh, text to text translation, then text into speech, right? We could do 6 languages, English into,
Good.
and it really only worked with English and Spanish, I want to say, like if to any degree of fidelity.
Right.
Um, this year, um, we are very confident that any Latin language into any language in the world.
Whoa.
So we
Wow.
can't yet say with confidence we can go from Korean into English, but we can definitely go from Italian into Korean.
Wow. Fascinating. And, I mean, thanks
Or
to
into
streaming.
Arabic or into Hebrew, right? But you can't go
Right.
from Arabic yet in the other way with that same
Understood.
level of fidelity. The problem has to do with the way um, the core kind of underlying translation engines chop up the sentence.
Got it.
So
Understood.
if you've got it right on the way in, like, gold in, gold out, garbage in,
Right.
garbage out.
Right.
So if you've got it right on the way in, it'll go well in the translation. And what's improved this year over last year is you couldn't have gone from English, French, or you could only have gone from English, French, or Spanish into other languages 12 months ago. Now you can go from any Latin language
Okay.
into any other language. And also, the Asian languages didn't work very well last year, and now they do.
That is fascinating. So, today, so I want to sort of look at three timelines of video content, right?
Yeah.
In the entertainment sector, right? You've got archival content that's just sitting there, right? We've all the time in the world to actually localize that if we needed to. Then there is episodic content that comes in every week, every other week. It's got its own cycles.
Yep.
And then there is live, which is
Yep.
live, right? When you're pitching to, let's say, Sony Pictures or NBC, right? They straddle all three.
Mm.
Where are you? Where would your sales teams be pitching as a solution?
Live. Live.
Okay,
Live. We're only interested in the third category. We do
okay,
live,
okay,
right? We
understood.
do live. We do. That's all we do. We
Okay,
can also do recorded because we can do that, but so can everybody else.
yeah, aha. So the point of differentiation is really the live piece.
It's the live workflow orchestration in particular. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. No, this is super helpful and useful because
Because
again,
otherwise, what stops somebody else from doing it? We're only
that's
using
right.
third-party tools
And
at
you
the end
are
of the day.
100% right because there are the whole host of localization companies that do actually the archival and episodics well, but the
Well,
live
we,
piece,
we,
I
we
mean,
can do that. I mean, we can
yeah.
do archive. I mean, archival
But
content
is
is
your point being
perfect
that
for Lexi. It's
your
perfect for
point,
Lexi, right?
right?
Because once you've actually got the model in there,
That's
it'll
right.
work, right? The thing is, do we have an advantage at doing that over somebody else? Well, we do if they're already a customer because we've already passed InfoSec and SOC 2 accreditation and security
Okay.
clearance and we
Okay.
know where the data is. But other than that, no, we got nothing
Understood. And my what I was also saying was that those companies don't do live at all. So
at
then that
all.
yeah,
And you know why? Because live is 1% of the total market.
that's right. That's
So
right.
why are they going to get into that?
That's right. Fascinating. And I mean, this is a big penny drop moment for me as well, just in terms of what a big.
What's dropped for you? Well, I'm interested. What's dropped for you?
So for me, the just the point of differentiation with live is so
Yeah,
exciting because live is sports, live is news, live is a
exactly.
host of these. I mean, you talked about Davos, and there are just so many events that typically happen, which are all live.
Yeah.
And they have a language disadvantage because the experts don't speak every language, but you want to hear it directly from the experts live. And you don't want to sort of try and figure out what do they really mean. So if you could hear it in your own language, that just makes that massive leap. It's fascinating. So that
Well,
for me was a
and not
big
only
penny
that,
drop. Just
you can hear it and you can see it, right? So you've also got you can read right. So when it might have originally gone in English, you can read the English, you can then read it in Hindi, and then you can listen to it in Hindi. So you've
uh
got four sources of data that confirm what it is that you're hearing, and exactly to your point, your retention and your understanding goes way up.
So let me ask you a couple of nuances about just the tech. Again, for the benefit of our listeners, um, just in terms of the cultural nuances, the pauses, I'm guessing that the voices are delivered exactly to the speaker's voice. Is that right?
So that's the voice spoofing or
Mhm.
the voice cloning, which is on our roadmap for the next 6 months. It's not
Okay.
what we would call our minimum lovable product to start with.
Okay.
Our
Okay.
minimum lovable product has a minimum has you can choose a number of different voices. There
Understood.
are a number of different voices that you can choose. There
Okay.
will be the option within 6 months to have an
Okay.
exact clone.
Understood. Understood. And then the voices, are they sort of taking similar pauses? How does that work from nuance
Yes.
perspective? Okay. Okay. Excellent. And then
And again, I mean, everyone's very familiar with these synthetic voices in a recorded sense, right? I
yes,
mean, Google Notebook, for example, has been fantastic at this for at least 12 months.
that's right.
We're
That,
taking that live.
okay. Wow. All right. This is fascinating. And then I was curious also about the some of the sort of expansion aspects just relating to the voice product. Can you talk a little bit about your roadmap? What are the critical aspects on the roadmap?
Yeah, well, we're looking to fill that 9 square grid, right? So
Right.
it's broadcast, government, and enterprise
Right.
in Americas, EMEA, and APAC.
Okay.
The first place we're looking to sell voice is where we already have product market fit with text. So it's US broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're also looking to extend voice as much as we can into any of the other categories as quickly as possible. And
Uh,
we're being directed by feedback from our global sales teams and our sales partners. We've got 60 internal staff, and we've got probably the same number of partners around the world.
Understood. And then talk a little bit about the company. So, I was quite fascinated that, AI Media is a listed company. So, talk
Yes, we're
about
listed.
how did that come about, and also just in terms of where the organization is in terms of geographic location, which are the big markets of expansion next quarter or a couple of next quarters.
Yeah, so I co-founded AI Media together with Alex Jones and the late Leonie Jackson in 2003. And what we first did was both Alex and Leonie are profoundly deaf. And while we were introducing captions to the pay TV industry in Australia, which is where we
Right.
started, we also developed the very first service to deliver live captions into mainstream classrooms
Wow.
using that human in the loop respeaker model in 2007. The success of that was so profound that we had changed the very nature of what it meant to be deaf.
Wow.
In in 2007, 50% of deaf kids never completed high school. Today, 90% complete high school. And that's because they have access to the English
Right.
that otherwise they wouldn't have access to. And so we built up this company to the point where at one point we had 800 respeakers. We were the global launch partner with Facebook in 2017 for live captions on Facebook. And we still have over 1 million people on our Facebook page following us. And it was off the back of the partnership with Facebook that we understood the massive improvements in AI efficiency were coming. And that was at the F8 conference in April of 2018 in Silicon Valley, not far from where you are. I think it might even
That's
be
right.
Menlo Park.
Huh.
And I heard the head of AI talk after lunch on the second day, and it was basically hidden Markov models are going to change everything. We're going to get 100 times the fidelity of each data point in the next few years that we've got now. I was like, 100 times? Okay, I'm listening. And then it was a question of, okay, what architecture was going to win when you could pull the human out of the loop? And so in 2019, we kind of scoured the world for partners And we decided very, very quickly in a big all hands meeting in early December 2019 that EEG was the company we needed to buy.
Wow.
And in order to buy them, we needed to have an ability to raise capital. Then COVID hit,
Yes,
and right. And then 2 months later, COVID hit. And then immediately all our sales just stopped. And then 2 weeks later, they expanded back 50%
wow.
above where they were beforehand because everyone needed live captions because they were at home.
That's right.
And so that helped us list on the ASX,
Wow.
which is the Australian Stock Exchange, in September of 2020. And in May of 2021, we completed the acquisition of EEG.
Wow. That's a great story. Just in terms of how capital raise actually happened right post COVID and the
Correct.
acquisition. Fascinating.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, how did GenAI change your trajectory? The sort of onslaught of all of these LLMs and just the amount of innovation that's happened in the last couple of years.
Well, first thing, it allowed us to pull the human out of the loop
Okay. Right.
because you didn't need the re-speaker anymore.
That's right.
That was the most fundamental. And then the second thing it did is it made it work in languages other than English in terms of text. Then it made real-time voice translation possible. And
Right.
now it's making our Lexi AI solution possible. So I like to say we're benefiting from the rising tide that's effectively lifting all of the boats because there's hundreds of billions of dollars a year being invested
That's right.
into generative AI at the moment. And if
Right.
what we can do is understand that and embed that into live broadcast or enterprise workflows for our customers, that's all we
Right.
need to do.
That's right. Fascinating. So this is just absolutely amazing, and you tell the story really well, just in terms of how the companies sort of moved forward with all of these developments. Tony, one question which I had was really relating to now the outlook, 2025, 2026. What's the key outlook, both from an industry perspective and also from where the company's headed?
Lexi Voice. It's all about Lexi Voice. It's about now selling Lexi Voice to our existing Lexi Text customers, and it's also about using both Lexi Voice and Lexi Text as means to get into these new markets. So we're focusing on selling Lexi Voice to our existing Lexi Text customers in US broadcast. And we're looking at selling Lexi Voice and Lexi Text now to broadcasters in EMEA and APAC as well.
Understood.
Now, what we will need to do in terms of government and enterprise is M&A. We can't get there entirely by ourselves because we don't have the encoder set that
Right.
doesn't plug into a rack. All our encoders plug into a rack. Whereas if you want to deliver this service in a meeting room, you haven't got a rack. So how are you going to use an encoder? These AirPods are encoders. In fact, Apple is putting that exact same service on those AirPods
Ah,
in a few months' time when they release the next version. So if you think really kind of broadly about our growth trajectory, what we would be looking for is a company that's got a presence of hardware encoders in industries, sectors, and countries where we don't have presence. And then
understood.
what we would do is we would put the Lexi ICAP system on that encoder network, like
Understood.
we've done with Imagine and like we've done with Grass Valley, but this would be a commercial partnership that would dwarf them.
Fascinating. Um, and currently, just in terms of your engineering and development and technology teams, where are they? Where are the teams at?
The most of our market is here in the US,
Okay.
and most of it's in broadcast. Most of our in-house development team is based in the US. We've probably got 65% of the team are based here in the US and Canada. so
Okay.
North America, with the balance being in Australia. And then we use some outsourced development agencies as well, where
Okay.
we've got flow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I mean, Tony, that this was a fascinating sort of conversation. Lexi Voice sounds really, really exciting and very cool. The number of languages and that to live just opens up so many different possibilities. My sort of head's sort of swimming right now with all kinds of use cases that could actually sort of emerge.
Yeah,
I
and that's it. Like we need to be open to understanding like where are the use cases for our customers, right? I mean, one thing that was really interesting, one of our longest term customers is Sky News Australia.
Oh,
And they broadcast Sky News Australia and they have it on the web. And there are 40,000 people a week that watch it in Japan.
wow, wow, that's that's incredible.
English in Japan. What if we could do it in Japanese for
That's
$30
right.
an
That's right.
hour? Would you get more than 40? Could you get 41,000 viewers? Well, if you got 41,000 viewers, you'd pay for it.
Right. Right.
So the fact that it's $30 an hour really means, you know, it's not a big bet.
Right, right. And some of those use cases that you talked about, right? Governments, there are just exhibitions, trade shows. I mean, there are just a raft of sort of possibilities. A lot of multinationals actually broadcast so much of
Correct.
content today, to their distributors, to their employees, to just a
Oh,
host of
they're
different use.
employees, right? I mean,
That's right.
LinkedIn alone do,
Yes,
dozens and dozens a week of employee videos, around the
that's right.
world.
Mind-boggling. But look,
But that's why it's outside broadcast, right? Like that's
yeah,
why corporate is where I see this market being the biggest, and that's why we have to find an encoder network that's going to solve that because there's many more corporates than there are broadcasters. There's many more meeting rooms than there are TV stations.
that's right. That's right. I can see a lot of M&A in your life. If you open a Chinese cookie, my hunch is that it'll say thou shall have lots of M&A in the next few days. But Tony, this has been a fascinating conversation. I'm sure a lot of our listeners who are all sort of professionals in the entertainment supply chain, some are looking for localization solutions. I'm sure some of them are looking for live solutions as well for their platforms and
Yeah.
their studios. This has been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for talking to us today. And again, you really explained the story so interestingly. This has been a very very exciting conversation.
Thanks for having me on. And I just encourage if people want more information, the website's really good. There's a book a demo button on the Lexi Voice, but follow us on LinkedIn. All the information is coming on LinkedIn, and please do follow us. And thank you very much for having me on.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.